Hi there and welcome back. If you're planning to take the SHRM or HRCI exam, then you will need to be familiar with certain HR terms and definitions, like what is full-time equivalent or FTE, what is a furlough, what is genetic discrimination, what is the halo and horn effect. In this video, we will be reviewing these important HR terms and more. So let's begin. What is full-time equivalent or FTE? The concept is used to count hours worked rather than the number of employees to budget, forecast staff, and calculate wages. For example, if an organization considers 40 hours per week as full-time and there are 4 employees who work 10 hours each per week, the hours for those 4 employees add up together to make 1.0 FTE. Or, on the other hand, if one employee works 40 hours per week, then that would also amount to 1.0 FTE. This standardization is very useful in employment classifications and other areas. Business analysts and project managers use FTE to evaluate workload and labor costs. Once they have an estimate of the full-time employees needed to accomplish necessary tasks, they can then calculate salaries. This information allows them to forecast a budget for the upcoming year or for a specific project. For annual forecasts, FTE is sometimes referred to as the work year equivalent or WYE. HR departments use FTE to standardize the working hours and salaries of part-time employees. For example, half-time workers or part-time workers are 0.5 FTE because they work half the hours of full-time employees, and they will receive a 0.5 of a full-time salary. Next, what is furlough? Furlough is a mandatory leave of absence that employees are put on by their employer due to special circumstances faced by the organization, such as a lack of budget or budget approval, insufficient work, slow economic conditions, business reorganization, and of course, most recently, the COVID-19 lockdown. Furlough may be short-term or long-term, depending upon circumstances. A furlough due to a retail store damaged by fire would be long-term, until the store is rebuilt. But if you need to furlough employees to meet budgetary allocations, it may be just a week or so of mandatory unpaid days off work. Some industries need seasonal furloughs. For instance, vacation cottages and theme parks scale down their operations during the off-season and furlough most of their employees. Government shutdown furlough typically happens due to lack of funds. The government agency pauses its functions during this time. Such furloughs last until the legislature votes to release funds necessary to resume work and pay employees. When the furlough ends, employees return back to their work at the same or reduced level of work. A furlough is beneficial to employees in that they do not lose their jobs. At the end of the furlough period, they have a job to return to. They can also collect unemployment benefit during this furlough period. I apologize in advance for interrupting the video right now. Just a quick message from me. If you are preparing for the SHRM exam, then consider checking out my SHRM exam study guide, the one-book learning system. I have left a link in the description of this video where you can find more details about this guide and how to use it to ace the exam. Now back to the video. Moving along. What is genetic discrimination? Genetic discrimination occurs when people are treated differently by their employer or insurance company because they have a gene mutation that causes or increases the risk of an inherited disorder. Several laws at the federal and state levels help protect people against genetic discrimination. In particular, a federal law called the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, also known as GINA, is designed to protect people from this form of discrimination. GINA has 2 parts, Title 1, which prohibits genetic discrimination in health insurance, and Title 2, which prohibits genetic discrimination in employment. Title 1 makes it illegal for health insurance providers to use or require genetic information to make decisions about a person's insurance eligibility or coverage. Title 2 makes it illegal for employers to use a person's genetic information when making decisions about hiring, promotion, and several other terms of employment. However, GINA does not apply when an employer has fewer than 15 employees. GINA also does not protect against genetic discrimination in forms of insurance other than health insurance, like life, disability, or long-term care insurance. If you are finding value in this video and would like to be reminded of similar videos, then consider subscribing to my channel. Like the video, leave a comment. Thanks a bunch. Let's continue. Next, what is the halo or horn effect? Or I should say, halo and horn effect. Chances are you've probably heard of either the halo effect or the horn effect at some point in your career. Almost all of us are guilty of making snap judgments, particularly in the workplace. Hopefully over time, you will gain a more accurate, well-rounded opinion of your peers. But if these judgments remain unaddressed, they can be a detriment to workplace culture and productivity, as well as leading to biased hiring decisions. The halo or horn effect is a form of rater bias which occurs when an employee is highly competent or incompetent in one area, and the supervisor rates the employee correspondingly high or low in all the areas. This bias can also be seen in recruiting, often based on first impressions that overshadow all other aspects of the individual. Let's look at the difference between the halo and horn effect. Halo effect, a positive first impression that leads us to treat someone more favorably, whereas the horn effect, a negative first impression that leads us to treat someone less favorably. The halo and horn effect in recruitment is all about first impressions, whether they are made on paper or when meeting face-to-face in an interview setting. As many of you know, first impressions can be incredibly deceiving and can hinder your objectivity when evaluating a candidate. An instance that can be used as an example of the halo effect includes how a well-groomed, tall, and outwardly confident candidate is more likely to be perceived as intelligent and trustworthy. This elevates that candidate in the mind of the interviewer over the likes of someone who may appear introverted with a less commanding presence, but ultimately is a better fit for the position. When reviewing CVs, a hiring manager might be impressed by the fact that a candidate went to Cambridge or worked at a big-name company. This positive impression might go on to distort their perception of the rest of the candidate's application. Once we take a shine to someone, we generally look for reasons to keep liking them. Horn effect. If a candidate is perceived to be scruffy, for example, this could influence your perception of their performance and suitability for the role. The horn effect might not be something that presents itself on first sight. If it's revealed later on in the process that a candidate belongs to a given minority group, this could result in them being judged more harshly than they would have otherwise. When you take into account that stereotype bias affect how we perceive outgroups, the horn effect in recruitment could mean that minority groups candidates end up being overlooked. If you're preparing for the SHRM exam and are looking for quality SHRM practice tests, then check out the link in the description of this video for a free practice test. Also, if you found value in this video, then like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. I post HR and leadership related videos every week. I will see you in the next video.